This video will provide you with insights that can help you land any marketing job, whether you're going to be a marketing coordinator or a marketing manager in a large corporate organization, the sole marketing employee in a small business, or if you want to work at a digital marketing agency like the one that I run. Your interviewer is going to look for key things in the interview. Remember, you're also interviewing the employer to make sure that it's a place that you want to work. So go into it with that mindset. It's a two-way conversation. At the end, when they ask you, do you have any questions for me? There is something specific that you need to say. If you don't say it, you're losing a lot of points in your interview, and the wrong answer can cost you the job. Before we start, if you're not getting job interviews, you might need to work on your resume first, which is why we created a separate video on this channel about how to write a resume for a marketing job. For most marketing positions, the application process is fairly traditional. You write a resume and a cover letter. Always write a cover letter. And then you'll probably have a brief Zoom or phone interview where someone screens the large number of applicants. If you pass that test, then you're going to end up in an interview chair across from 1 to 3 people who will ask you a lot of questions to gauge your skill and your personality. Before applying, gather all the relevant skills and the certifications that you're going to need in the position. If asked about certifications in the interview, like Google AdWords, it's best to be prepared. A few hours of certification can position you so much better. Additional training and knowledge is always beneficial. If you get a little bit nervous before interviews, the first tip would be plan things out ahead of time. Arrange your outfit in a special spot so you can put it on quickly in the morning. Have a briefcase or a bag prepared with everything that you're going to need. In that briefcase, you're going to want to have a copy of your resume, a pen, and some paper, preferably a notepad that looks good. Maybe even have a book in your bag, something that you're reading for self-development. They might not even see it, but if they do, the employer will appreciate that you're a reader. It displays a soft skill that even if you listed it on your resume, an employer is not going to believe it until they see it. So they will give you an extra edge when they're comparing you to everyone else. As an employer, I'm not overly concerned if a candidate appears nervous, unless they're applying for a client-facing role like sales or as a project manager where like the ability to handle presentation pressure is important, especially true for roles like digital advertising, graphic design, or web development. If you mention hobbies like swimming or reading on your resume, I will ask you about them early in the interview. And it's possibly not for the reason that you'd think. It's not because I have a particular interest in these activities, but because I want to see how your face lights up when you are discussing things that you're passionate about. The job of a good manager is to bring the best out of their team. And that means having an understanding of the baseline of what you look like when you're engaged in talking about something that you love. I, as a manager, would want to eventually earn that same level of passion in your work. When a full team of people love what they do, the results that they get together is awesome. But also, you can tie your hobby in a creative way to the job that you're applying for. It doesn't matter what the hobby is. If you like video games, include that as a hobby on your resume and bring it up in your interview in a creative way. In your interview, explain how playing story-based video games could translate into telling stories for customers in the marketing role. That's you crafting a story about yourself, which in and of itself is marketing. You're applying for a marketing job, so have confidence in telling your story. If you are not a reader, my advice, number 1, is to become a reader, at least audiobooks. Often I will ask applicants about the last book that they've read. It's always interesting when someone has recently finished books, and that can segue into a more engaging conversation for both of us. In the field of marketing, there's 2 books that stand out to me as particularly valuable. The first, suited for general business, is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It helps you understand how to work effectively in a team and with clients, which makes you a more likable team member. And when everyone on a team likes each other, productivity really goes up. The second book, specifically about marketing, is StoryBrand by Donald Miller. If you're looking for a job in marketing, this book is a must read. The book emphasizes that marketing is about telling stories, which can greatly increase revenue for you and your clients. That's the essence of marketing. And at the time of recording this video, we're in the midst of editing like a massive video series about StoryBrand. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the series. It's going to be about like a 40 minute comprehensive summary of StoryBrand. One of the questions I often ask in interviews is, why do you want to work at Longhouse, my business? What do you know about our business? This serves as a couple of purposes. For me as the employer. If a candidate doesn't know anything about our business, we're not starting on the right foot, and it's really not a good sign. Sometimes during interviews, people mess up, and that's fine. But I expect candidates to have done their research. I want them to know what types of services we offer, what kind of clients we work for, and more specifically, I want to hear somewhat of a story about how your skill sets or interests could help grow our business. I always want to avoid hiring people who just want to clock in and clock out and not be a part of a team. It's too expensive for me as an employer to bring in people who don't have a long-term or at least a medium-term vision of working with the company. Leading employers are now asking a type of question called behavioral situational interview questions. These are questions that you may have practiced before, such as, tell me about a time you've had a disagreement with a manager and how you handled it and what happened. People are asking these questions to you to visualize how you problem solve and interact both with clients and other team members. If you say, oh, I've never had a disagreement with a manager, I've never had a problem with an angry client, or, I've never done X, Y, and Z, all of these are devastatingly wrong answers, and you will not get hired for this job. You lose points immediately if you can't provide a story. As a young lifeguard, there was a sudden promotion opportunity worth like an extra $5 an hour when there was a massive turnover that had 4 supervisor spots available. Despite being younger and having less experience, I really wanted this job. It was more money per hour, and I was going to get more hours. But I was competing against older and more experienced lifeguards. During the interview, I was tested with a lot of behavioral and situational questions. One key question that stood out was about running in-service training for the lifeguard team, something that I had no experience with. Instead of admitting defeat, I threw a curveball at the interviewers, and I drew upon my experiences playing World of Warcraft, a popular online game, and I explained how in the game I was part of a guild being a team of players working towards common goals. And we had to coordinate and train for raids, which are like challenging scenarios where we would team up to defeat tough bosses that individual players couldn't beat on their own without coordinating with a broader team. I drew parallels between these gaming experiences and the skills that were needed for the supervisor role at the pool, demonstrating that, I was thinking about teamwork and how to run training. This approach seemed to resonate because I did get the job. In hindsight, I feel like this answer that I gave me the biggest edge over everyone else that was applying, because no one else that I knew that was applying for the position had any experience running in-service training either. And if they said that they didn't have experience running in-service training, but I got all the points for using a different situation to answer that behavioral situational question, that probably gave me the edge. Here are some other questions your interviewer is probably going to ask and the underlying psychology behind it. Tell me about a time that you had a disagreement with a coworker and how you handled it. Be honest. Acknowledge that disagreements are bound to happen in any workplace, but it's how you handle them that matters, because the goal is to keep the team happy and united towards a common goal. It's crucial to not gossip or involve other people in the problem during such disagreements. This will tell the employer that you're not a source of workplace toxicity and that you can manage issues without troubling the manager. You could elaborate further on how you'd handle the situation. For instance, when I have a disagreement with a coworker, I like to mirror their feelings back to them so that they feel like their emotions are validated. And this approach helps to diffuse any potential conflict. Once I've validated their feelings, I don't argue, but I simply express what my intention was. If I had intruded on a project, I'd say, my intention wasn't to step on your toes. I noticed the project brief that I could contribute some value. In the future, what I'll try to do is involve you wherever possible. Showing that you have a strategy and that you validate their emotions is what the employer wants to know. They want to be 100% confident you're not going to be a source of workplace toxicity. Tell me about a time that you've had a disagreement with a manager. Illustrate how you handled that situation in the past. Even if you admit to managing the situation poorly in the past, it's fine as long as you clarify in your answer how you would handle such a situation going forward. You could say, in my first ever job, I was young and I didn't understand that managers have separate roles with distinct requirements and stresses. It's okay to admit that you mishandled a previous conflict at work, as long as you also explain how you've learned from it and how you would handle it differently going forward in the future. However, generally, it's better to keep things positive. Discussing past mistakes might be risky, but if it's done well, it can also help you stand out. One of my favorite questions to ask in an interview is, tell me about a time when your manager's management style has motivated you to feel passionate and really be invested in your work. The reason I ask this is probably somewhat obvious, but I want to know how I, as a good manager, can bring the best out of you in the position that we're hiring for. This is a question that you may not see. It's a bit of a curveball question, but you might want to ask this at the end in your own way. But if they ask this, give a genuine example. Don't try to be someone that you think they might want to be. Answer it honestly. If they ask what kind of management style brings the best out of you, or tell me about a time a manager has been really supportive and motivated you to do a great job, give them an honest, genuine answer. This is going to set you up for success when you do get this job. What I like to hear is something along the lines of, in my past job, I had a manager who gave me the freedom to bring my own ideas to the table. Someone who provided me with a framework, someone who allowed me to set 3-month or 1-year goals. And that really motivated me to do a great job. That's what I want to hear. I want to know what makes you tick, what motivates you, what makes you want to do a good job in your work. The next question that they could ask is, do you prefer to work independently or as part of a team? Don't automatically answer collaboratively, because it's an HR and business buzzword right now. You might assume that saying like, oh, I'm a great team player is going to always be the right answer. It's not necessarily true for all roles, but being able to thrive in a team is usually good. But if you really are a lone wolf, say that's okay. You just have to spin it to the interviewer as to why it's valuable. If you want to hedge your bets, you can highlight the aspects of your work style that are lone wolf-like, but that say maybe a lot of people would also say that you're a team player because you do pride yourself on being able to take feedback and give direction when needed. Sometimes I'll ask the traditional generic questions. Tell me about your last job. What did you learn in your last job that will be beneficial in this role? I might also ask, what did you learn in school that will make you a suitable candidate for this position? How can your interest in hobbies contribute to our team and help you excel in this job? I like to cover these traditional questions, so when you're preparing for an interview, make sure you've written these down and written out possible answers. Understand yourself thoroughly and be ready to discuss all aspects of how you're going to thrive in the position. Navigating the fine line between answering truthfully and providing answers that the interviewer wants to hear is a common challenge. That not just you, but everyone else that they're interviewing is going to be going through as well. Drawing from an example of something that I know a lot about, like in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you may get trapped underneath someone and you start to feel claustrophobic. It's a situation relatable to work context as well. The secret to escape is a process. In jiu-jitsu, firstly, you remain calm to conserve energy. Second, you create a frame for leverage, allowing you to create distance. And then finally, with the created distance, you can move into a more favorable position. Maybe you're reclaiming guard. The same process can be applied to, say, a situation with an angry client. Firstly, stay calm to change the energy. Secondly, validate them by repeating their problem back. Create distance by suggesting a solution, and once agreed, discuss the action plan. Similarly, examples from your hobbies, maybe even your favorite TV show or sports, they can be used in interviews. The key is how you market yourself and tell your story. Instead of echoing what employers just want to hear, make yourself stand out, differentiate yourself with unique stories and past work examples. Prepare for interviews by understanding what you've written in your resume, and then Go into it expecting some of these behavioral questions and practice the common interview questions to ensure that you always have an answer prepared. I'm specialized in digital marketing, so I'm going to ask a lot of technical questions about advertising on Facebook, Instagram, Google ad platforms. I might present a sample product and say, we have these umbrellas and they have these features. How would you market them? There isn't a correct answer, and I'll give you time to think about it, but I want to understand your approach to marketing. I may even use an example of one of our own services to see how you tackle it. In marketing, there are right and wrong ways to do things. The incorrect way to market something is to just list the features. Take an umbrella, for example. The features could be, non-tearable material, a certain type of water repellent, or a high quality wood handle. Those details can become part of the marketing campaign, but great ad copy includes something that all great marketers understand. That's the first thing you must do, is identify the problem that the consumer wants to solve. This is why gyms and personal trainers, they don't advertise the process or the product. They don't advertise how strenuous the workout is, or how much you're gonna sweat, or how much you are gonna hate how much it hurts when you're going through the weight loss process. Instead, they show you the result. They highlight the six-pack abs, highlight the weight loss. They're selling the result. And that's what marketing's all about. You never want to be in a position where you're selling the features. Nobody wants hard workouts. They want six-pack abs. Even if working out is fun and makes you feel good, they're not selling the strenuous process. Umbrellas, web design, marketing, it's all the same across any industry. In any country, you need to sell the result. So when I present you a sample product, which likely won't be umbrellas, how do you structure your process to sell or market it? It's all about how you arrange the pieces of your marketing campaign, your marketing story. And remember, being nervous in your interview is completely normal. If you're not in a big client-facing position, it shouldn't matter too much if you appear a bit nervous. Your interviewer is going to understand. The preparation will help you ease your nerves, and nervousness may not necessarily affect your scores on the answers, but it could impact your ability to articulate the answers that you really want to be saying. So be sure to prepare. The better you prepare, the less nervous you're going to be, and it'll allow you to better articulate your thoughts. And make sure you don't have any regret when you leave the interview. Eat some food before you go in, set your outfit out the night before. Don't have any unnecessary stress on the day of the interview. If you feel more confident after a haircut, go get one a few days before. Do what it takes to feel comfortable and confident. I feel more confident after working out, so I might choose to work out the morning of the interview. There's one little subtle psychology trick that's been shown to boost confidence and success rates in specifically interviews. It might sound a bit silly, but I used to do this before first dates as well, because I would get, a little nervous. What you do is you raise your hands up in the air, maybe in your car. You want your elbows to be above your shoulders, almost like you're doing like a victory lap or something after a race, or like you're a champion, you need to hold your arms up. You need to hold your arms above your head for at least 30 seconds for the psychological tests to show that this is going to be helpful in boosting your confidence and success rate in interviews. In conclusion, the process of landing that marketing job that you've always wanted may seem a bit scary, but remember, it's a journey that you are fully equipped to navigate. You have the skills, you have the passion, and now you have the insider knowledge to stand out. As you prepare for your interview, remember to tell your story, present yourself as a unique asset, leverage your experiences and interests, and don't forget to market yourself just as effectively as you would a product or a service. Believe in yourself, be confident in your abilities, show them how you can add value to their company. Interviews are not just about proving your worth to the company. It's also about determining if the company is the right fit for you. So go into your interview armed with your own questions, ready to engage in a meaningful two-way conversation. Most interviewers are ending a conversation with this question: do you have any questions for us? Your answer needs to be yes. If your answer is no, you're losing a lot of points. Ask them this question and you will get the job. 6 months, 1 year from now, what does results look like for me in this role? And what impact will me doing a great job have on the company? This is going to get the interviewer into results-based thinking, picturing you already succeeding in the position. When you get the job that you're applying for, come back to this video and let us know how it went. Let's grow businesses together.